As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elesmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Right, welcome to episode 14 of Running the Red Line. We are back again for yet another week. I am Brett and I'm here as always with my co-host Andy. How are you doing this week, mate?
I'm all right. I am ready to just talk some waffle, to be honest, because I've had a shocker of a day.
Oh man.
I didn't go into this pre-podcast chat, but I had an absolute stink. So for my job, what I do, one of the branches that I do of my job is estate agency photography. So I get given houses to go and photograph that are about to come on the market. And today's house was what I call a keys house, which basically means go and get it done anytime today because the vendor's not there. So I got all my other jobs done. Last one of the day, I thought it was empty. So empty properties normally take me, I don't know, half the time because I don't chit chat to anyone. So I can just get my skates on and just crack on. And what I thought I'd do, I opened the gate, let myself in, and I thought, right, I'm going to park because my car, let's just say, it's not exactly a Ferrari. It doesn't really put much value on your house if it gets in the photos, especially when I've got the drone in the air and stuff. So I just thought, right, I'll park it slightly out the way, and they've got a big front garden. And I thought, right, I'll just sort of reverse down here. It's well out the way. And I did that. So I'm facing the house. And I thought, right, I'll just, I basically reversed. I thought, no, actually, I'll pull it forward a little bit. And then the wheel span. And it span again. I thought, oh God.
No.
I was stuck in the mud in someone's house. And you should see the mess that I've made.
Oh my God.
So I had to go all the way down because I was on my own. So I didn't know what to do. And I thought, right, let's try and sort this problem out now. And in hindsight, what I should have done is just rung for recovery and got them to tow me out.
Yeah.
But what I did was I ended up sliding back down the bottom of their front garden. And I was in a ditch. And I thought, right, I'll try and get some momentum. So I had to go up the hill, and I just got halfway up the hill because it's a front wheel drive. And I got halfway up the hill. The car is almost sideways now, so I've basically J-turned it almost, and I'm thinking, oh, fucking hell, what have I done? And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I'd already made a mess of their back garden. It's their front garden. So I had to call Laura. It's like in Pulp Fiction when you call Mr. Wolf. You just call Laura. And she came and sorted me out. She came and I was literally at this house. An average job normally takes me about 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I was there for 4 hours. So for 2 hours, Laura came and got me. She came and got me at 2:00. She didn't leave till 4. I'm not exactly going to get employee of the month because they had a lean-to with some furniture that they discarded. I think they had. I hope they have because I smashed it to bits because I tried to put it. I put it under the wheels to try and get myself out the ditch. Didn't work. And I learned today that if you want to try and drive over a wardrobe, don't use MDF because it's just as slippy as mud gets because there's no traction at all. So we ended up Googling what to do. And luckily, it said if you've got any fabric in your car, a towel, a coat or anything, use that for traction. So luckily, we've got some of the dog's towels in the car, and we use them to get onto one of these wardrobe panels. And then, because I was the one clearing the way and stuff, Laura was driving. She just basically floored it, and she got it back onto the. She got it back up. So I'm basically gonna have to go back tomorrow with a rake and some grass seed, because they're not back in town for a week. But fortunately, it's almost like an auction property, so it's not a very well kept property.
Okay.
However, if you turn up for a viewing at this house, you'll be like, "Who's been doing donuts in this front garden?" So I texted the estate agent today because I couldn't risk getting found out, and I said, "Look, I'm really sorry if I've just." Because this house ain't going to be a cheap one either. It wasn't like a 2 up, 2 down. It's probably, well, I don't want to say the value of it, but it wasn't cheap. And basically, I've got to go and clean up after myself tomorrow and hope. I'm going to have to hope for torrential rain to try and wash away my sins. But I had a shocker of a day. The stress. I've ruined my shoes, ruined me Fred Perry's, my work shoes, because it was comical because Laura was trying to rev it. And she was like, as she was revving it was kicking up all this mud. I'm trying to push it, wishing I was wearing cross-country spikes, but I've got no purchase on the ground, trying to push it up a hill. And I'm going, go on, go. No, stop. No, go on, left. Oh, God, if we were being filmed, it would have been comical. So I am so pleased to see your face and just to chat absolute shite tonight, because the stress levels I encountered this afternoon. And that was my last job of the day. It wasn't even like it was my only one. It was like, just as I was like,
from Mr. Bean.
Basically, it was like it was some sort of. I thought Ant and Dec were going to come out or something. I thought I was going to be punked. But yeah, I have had an absolute stinker of a Friday. So I got some good S&C in though, trying to push my car up a hill.
Definitely. What a way to start the podcast. That was incredible.
Yeah. So yeah,
Brilliant.
Get myself sacked. So hopefully none of my estate agents are listening. Absolute stinker.
That's so good. Now you've ruined your Fred Perry's though. You'll be able to buy yourself a nice new pair of kickers.
Oh, that's going to get myself some pods or some bootlegs. Do you remember? Did we talk about that on that? Do you remember bootlegs? I mean, Mom coming. I was like, it's September the 3rd, the day before he starts school. Oh, Andrew, I bought you some new shoes. Oh, are they Rockports? Are they kickers? No, son, they're bootleg. I was like, oh, Mom, you've killed me here. Another year of intense bullying because of my shoes.
Get a marker pen out and rub over the title of the name.
So yeah, that was how the devil are you? Because you've got a slightly big event on Sunday. How are you doing?
Yes, it's just a little bit of a event on Sunday. Well, I'm a bit of an idiot as well because a while back, somebody mentioned the date of a event that I normally trade at each time, and I went, "Yep, perfect, no problem at all." And I normally do some design and do some printing for it that we can sell as like official merch for the event. And I didn't realise, but it's tomorrow. So exactly. So this week I have been rushing to try and get a design done and finished, make the screens, order the tote bags. I printed them all yesterday, and then today I've been up at my shop packing everything and getting everything ready to take to trade in the morning. So I've got to go and do that in the morning. I think that's going to run till about 3 o'clock, and then I've got to quickly pack everything down, get it all back home, pick up my bags for Manchester, run to the train station, get on the train, and hopefully get into Manchester before it's too late, so I can do a bit of a shakeout run and get some proper sleep.
Yeah, I was going to say that run to the train, it might be your only chance to run.
Yeah. So it's not been the most ideal last week of taper with all of that stress, but I've managed to get it done. So that's all that matters. So it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, it's just a day of trading, so it's just going to be a long day stood behind a table rather than sat down, putting my feet up, which I would have liked to have done. I'd like to have got to Manchester early in the day and then just get into the hotel and put my feet up and do nothing and watch TV. But it is what it is. It'll be all right.
In a weird way, though, you might have missed the traffic as well. Because I imagine traveling tomorrow morning at 9, 10, 11 o'clock tomorrow to Manchester would be a little bit stressful. Yes, you get in there early and stuff, but you still might have run into heavy traffic of marathoners.
Yeah.
So arriving sort of early evening probably will have its merits in its own way. At least you get to chill on the train. You say you're training up, didn't you? Not driving.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go on the train. So I'm gonna take my laptop and hopefully finish off the last couple of videos. I'm not sure I will get them all done before the actual race day. So a bit of training might come out after Sunday, but you never know.
So did I see one got uploaded today?
Yes. So week 10 went up today. So I've got I've got my peak week video, which is half done. And then I've got my taper weeks to do. So
cool.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
So we're on week 14, aren't we? So this is your
I know.
Week. This is my obviously 14 of 16, but your big one.
Yeah, but you're in taper now, aren't you?
Yeah, so I've had quite a nice week actually. I've only done 30k so far. So what's that? I don't know, nice. 20, 50, was that 20? I can't bother to work it out. 30k, 10k, so 18 mile.
Yeah,
about 18 mile. Last week I did Sunday. I did 35k run. Totally unplanned.
I saw that.
I wouldn't say it was unplanned because I said to myself, if I get to 30 and I'm still feeling all right, let's go for it.
Yeah,
and I stubbornly didn't want to walk home 5k because I was 5k away from home. And what I did was, it was maybe boring, some people's idea of hell, probably mine, because I've never done this kind of run, but I did loops. I did 10k loops or sort of 9k loops. And anyone that knows Worcester will know the local run round the river, which I always do. Well, I extended it to Pitchcroft, which is the Worcester race course, which is where the Pitchcroft Parkrun is. And it's as close as I can get to treadmill running. So there was no elevation. So that basically just gave me a chance just to tap into some pace. So what I did, I haven't got it in front of me, but what I think I did was 7 blocks of 5k with 2 steady and 3 at marathon pace. So 3 times 7 is 21. Nice. So I did a half marathon I did it 21k of marathon pace by the end of it. And what was great about it was the feeling at the end. I still felt, I wouldn't say good, but when I asked myself the question, have I got an extra 7k in me? I said to myself, yeah, I think I probably have. Nice. Admittedly, the whole session, because I ran 7 times 7 lots of 2Ks steady, so the average pace still wasn't there. I still felt like it was almost like not hard effort, but a marathon pace effort.
Yeah.
Just felt really, really good. And I'm glad I did it. And I wouldn't normally go that far. I mean, 35k is about 22.5 mile, I think.
Yeah.
So glad I did, just to see if I could do it.
Yeah, but that's how run should be in training. Is you're not doing it all at marathon pace. So there should be the average pace shouldn't be at marathon pace, and it shouldn't be up there. So you've run that perfectly. I commented on your Strava straight away. I was like, it's on. Your pace is that of a 3:30 marathon. It's on, mate.
I remember when I had my own targets and my own goals before I met you. And now all my goals and targets are yours. So, I think the entry still might be open for Newport, if you want to come and pace me. But
well, you never know. I might surprise you.
Oh, no, I'm joking. I am joking.
I am.
I don't mind you. Good. I don't mind. Actually, I don't. The half marathon that we did, I don't know. I think that might be my limit for being paced, because I think you'd see the real me in a marathon if you're cracking the whip trying to get me to catch up with you at 35k.
Yeah,
I think you might see might see me snap.
the mouth would run loose.
But could you imagine being paced for a marathon? Do you think you'd respond well to that? I mean, I'm not talking about following a pacer. I mean, getting someone to literally. Do you think you'd be interested in that?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I'd possibly respond well to it, because when people tell me you can't do it, I'm stubborn and go, I can.
Yeah. I'll show you.
Look, watch me.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. What I am looking forward to on Sunday is, because there's quite a few people who are all going for a similar time, there's hopefully going to be a good pack of us all running together. So rather than it being a spaced out sort of run like it was last year, although I run with people for the whole race last year, I wasn't running with anyone in particular or specifically. So all the people I was running with changed constantly. So it was a bit of a lonely run. I had a chat with people here, there, and everywhere, but it was very much me on my own, focusing on the run. But this year, hopefully, we're going to have a nice pack of us that can all work together and take on the front and keep on taking it in turns to pace.
Well, you know, I mean, I doubt I will have any sort of this effect really, but you and Will, for example, because you've outlined your big targets, you might have people clinging on to you guys who know what your targets are, and because they believe in you, they might think, well, I'll hang on to them because they're my best chance of getting something good. So you never know, you might have people sort of unofficially using you as pacers, but that's what we do, isn't it? We put our targets out there, and people, you know, I had someone comment on mine the other day saying, I can't remember the guy's name now. He said he's been using me as a benchmark, and he said every time he gets a PB, he tells his missus, "I've just beat It's on Andy," and apparently and apparently she rolls her eyes every time. And he's beat me by a few either seconds or minutes in each one, 5K, 10K, half. And he said to me, my marathon PB is beatable. He said, it's 3:37. Come at me, bro. That's what he said.
Amazing. There we go. He's thrown the gauntlet down.
He said, go and beat me so I can have a go in York later on in the year, and I'll try and beat you back. But I quite like the friendly competition nature of it, if I'm being honest. I quite like the because we're all heading in the same direction, aren't we? Some at quicker paces than others. And some of us, you know, I know it's such a cheesy line, but progress isn't linear, is it? Some of us have to move forward by taking a few steps sideways, taking a few steps back before we can leap forward. So it's so once you step back and you look at where you are and where you've been, like I was going to ask you during your training block now, when you look back, how many runs have you had that were quite bad runs?
Oh man, loads.
Because I remember you said a couple you felt pain, or a few you've which
I've
ones
had runs where I've just felt like absolute like rubbish. Like some of my towards the end of the block, well, probably from halfway through, I started doubling on a Thursday because I take 2 rest days a week, where I want complete rest for those full days. To get the amount of mileage I'm doing into 5 days gets quite difficult as you start to push up the mileage. So I started doubling on a Thursday. So going out in the morning or like at lunchtime, and then going and doing session in the evening. And some of those Thursday morning runs, man, I felt so bad. Like my calves would be solid. They'd feel like they were made out of concrete, and I couldn't get going at all. And it took quite a few miles to warm up and like be able to run properly. I've had sessions where they've really gone badly. One in particular, we were doing loops on Cedar Road, which is, I think it's about, is it a mile loop? or is it a kilometre loop? It's one of the two. I can't remember. But we were doing loops, and I set off, and on the first loop, it was like someone shot me in the hip, and I just had pain all running through my hip, running through my glute, running through my lower back, all down my leg. And I should have stopped, but I didn't. I ran through it because that's how pig-headed I am. But I carried on. I just got slower and slower and slower. But I was so determined to get the whole session done. I just carried on going. And it was the worst session I'd done, I think. I think that was the worst one of the whole block. But in my head, because I got through it, that then gave me some positivity about it, even though it was an awful run. I had some positivity because I got through it, and even though I was in bad pain, I managed to push through. So if I can do that in training, when it's on the big day, if anything like that happens, possibly I can still keep going.
Yeah. This is a big question, and in no way trying to trip you up, but you've done a few runs where you have run through pain.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you've got this beautifully beautifully created Strava graph of a perfect. It's from the outside looking in, it looks like you've had the perfect training block, because you've had that beautiful increase, a little drop off, more increase of peak, and then the taper. Does any part of you think, oh, rest should have been better then? Like, are you glad that you stuck it out and you got the training in as planned? Because you're like me, I'm very similar. If I say to myself, right, I'm doing 80k or I'm doing 50 miles this week, I do it through hell or high water. I don't know why I am that way, but I have to do it. And some people would be like, well, no, if you've got an injury, then have a week off. But I don't know what it is about myself that I feel like I have to almost change the way I run to make sure I get it. I get the Ks in, I get the miles in.
I try to make decisions so I have no regrets about what I've done. So I don't think I would change anything that I've done during this block. And as you say, from like the graph, it looks like I've had the perfect block. And I do feel it's been a very good training block and completely different to last year. Last year, I wasn't in the shape I am now. And last year, I wasn't in the positive mental space I am now. And during taper, I didn't feel as good as I do now. So I am in a much better place than I was last year. So I don't think I would change anything, but there possibly were decisions that are made which could have been made better if they'd have been the other way around. So if I had have stopped during that session, I possibly wouldn't have put myself back for the next couple of days as much as I possibly did. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I mean, I did make decisions at some points where I'd been working till late, so I didn't want to go out and do my session late in the evening, so I just missed it and then did it the next day instead. So there were positive decisions that I made like that, as well as the silly ones that I made. But as I say, I try and make decisions so I don't have any regrets about what I've done and wouldn't change anything.
But that's the way we approach it anyway, isn't it? We try things. If they don't work, they don't work. We sort of document to try and help ourselves first and foremost. And so one day, if we can look back on it, we've got this data and we've got these videos to look back on our training if we want to, in 12 months, 2 years, and the rest. But we've also, because we share the videos and we share, we do these podcasts and things, we can give people ideas. But that's all we ever really want to do, is give people a taste of our experience and where we are and what worked for us. Never what you should be doing. That's never the way we approach
100%. And this is the thing. So we're mixing it up and doing different things, but it's that classic adage that you always say of, if you do the same thing and expect different results, then that's a fool's game, because if you want to do something different and try and get a different result or different time or different feeling from it, then doing the same thing that you've always done isn't going to get you that.
I like the way that you've just referenced that quote as mine, where it was actually originally Einstein who said that, but I'll take it.
I know. No, I didn't mean
It was
it was
definitely
your
me
quote.
that made it up.
I said it's like that old adage that you always say.
Yeah, I keep saying. I think I actually did make that up. Funny you should say that, actually, because that actually is quite relevant for Brett's end of the podcast quiz. There's a little question to do with Albie Einstein later. So yeah.
Okay. Nice.
But I on that note, let's talk about Will, the Woo.
Yes.
Because he's similar to us. He's just a runner, like he said. I think his opening gambit was, "I'm just a runner." Who I can't remember what exactly said now, but in his typical laid-back, horizontal, chilled self,
yeah.
he basically just said, "I'm just a runner. I'm just a dude that likes running, and I've started recording it because I enjoy doing that."
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And we were so glad that we had an hour, well, and a bit, nearly 2 hours with him last week.
Yeah.
On the podcast.
I do want to say a massive thank you to Will. He is the easiest guy to talk to ever. It was just it was like we'd known each other for ages. It was really easy to just chat with him, and it was ace.
And a well done to you as well, because every week we try and come up with a title for these podcasts that are sort of loosely based around a song title. And I think that's one of the best. But this is the best one yet. It's that famous Bryan Adams song of "Run to Woo." So that's probably the best one yet. But no, it was awesome. I really like some of the things Will said. He's got really good energy, really good ideas. Really, it's just if you don't subscribe to the Woo on YouTube, you absolutely must, because this guy he's just great. He's just a really down to earth guy, but also a very talented runner as well. So I definitely go and have a look at Will's stuff. But he said a few things last week that I don't do, or I don't. He said a lot of things that I don't do. But one of them was about the way he trains on his long runs, and I thought that was interesting. The way that he implements quite quick paces towards the end of his long runs. So, for example, if he's doing a 20 miler or a 30K, instead of just sort of bonking and just accepting the fact that, I'll just run steady or I'll run easy now, he's going the opposite way. So he's getting faster and he's actually progressing through marathon pace and beyond.
Yeah.
And he's getting a bit quicker. So I think that is good racing, a good racing mentality to practice during training. So I think that was one of the really healthy and really good things that he said that he does during training. So that's something I don't do, because I stubbornly stick to marathon pace and steady stuff and easy stuff on my long runs.
But as he said, it's what works best for each person, and he's tried that before and it's worked really well for him. So that's what he's sticking to. Whereas I've always done marathon pace blocks within my Sunday long run and used it as a session, and that's what I think I'll stick to. I'll just mix up what the blocks look like, because that seems to work for me. So it's what works for each person rather than what everybody should do. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure by now as well, he's probably face down in a box of Krispy Kreme donuts or something like that, because he said about his carb loading sort of theory. Well, it's not really a theory; it's method, which was dividing your body weight in kilos by 10, and that. No, what was it?
10 grams of carbs per kilo of body weight.
Yeah, so if you're, let's just say 70 kilos, you'd be looking at 700 grams of carbs for a few days before the marathon, which is quite a lot, I think. And I wonder. So Will, let us know how you've got on with that. I hope.
Well, I saw he put a post on Instagram on his story, and he'd just been shopping and he'd bought all sorts of carbs, but no Krispy Kreme donuts. It was all much more healthy than that.
Of course.
but yeah, like I've started my carb load as well. So today I've already eaten, what's that? Maybe 2/3 of a family pack of malt loaf.
So how long have you been sort of carb loading for then? Like how long have you actually been
I
making?
started yesterday carb loading. So I've cut down on everything else and just like upped the carbs basically. So yesterday's tea was bagels and followed by a bowl of cereal. And just different things. And then this morning went back to my usual of porridge and banana and blueberries. And then I've just been grazing on like malt loaf. I've had a bagel, bits and bobs, carb drinks as well. So I've been like filling up with carb drink as well. So yeah, it's going okay, I think.
Do you feel like any different? Do you feel bloated or anything, or do you feel like I don't know? How does it feel like eating all the carbs?
Well, today I feel quite good for it, but yesterday because I was up at my shop printing all day, I didn't finish till quite late at night. So when I got home, I was like, I've had quite a long period of time where I've not eaten anything, so I need to get all of those carbs in before I go to bed. So I was quite full when I went to bed last night, but today's been quite nice because it's just been a gradual graze all day rather than like in one block.
Yeah, fair enough. And what about tomorrow? Are you going to have to make a conscious effort to keep it up, even though you're trading at the
So I'm going to take a bottle of carb drink with me, and I'll take some things like wine gums, and I'll take a malt loaf and things like that. So whilst I'm there, I can just be eating, and then on the train up, I'll probably do exactly the same, and just But I think I've decided I'm not going to go out to eat this year when I get up to Manchester. So last year I went to Pizza Express and had a pizza for like tea when I got up there. But I think I'm just going to go to somewhere like Tesco and buy some carb-based foods and go back to the hotel and just relax and eat it there.
Yeah. Well, before we get on to talking about your Manchester, what your weekend's going to look like, why don't we acknowledge the two marathons, the two big ones that happened last week? And before we do that, I thought I should mention as well, have you been watching The Hardest Geezer, or do you know who he is?
Yes, Russ Cook. What a guy.
So I've been watching him. I've been watching him for 12 months now. And over that, because I remember watching his first.
Started in February, didn't he? But couldn't get into the country because of visa problems.
Yeah. So his first run was about 14 months ago now in South Africa, and he's the first man to run the entire length of Africa. And as epic of achievement as it is, and as brilliant as the YouTube series have been, I think one of the best things to take away from it is that someone from a unprivileged and very working class background has gone on to do something amazing. And I think so many people think, well, that's out of reach for me because I'm not from a certain background, and I think he's shown that just good old guts and determination is all you need. Yeah, and he's just gone and done it. And what a mega achievement.
There were moments where his body was just broken, and he had all sorts of issues along the way, didn't he? But and like being stopped at gunpoint and having everything stolen from him as well, and that didn't stop him. He was like, "No, I'm carrying on," which is
what a mentality.
Crazy.
What a mentality to have. It's and when when we're moaning about our halfway around Parkrun and it's feeling a bit hard. And he's just done 10,000 miles.
10,000 miles in under a year, which is that's crazy.
For that, I think he was averaging, because he'd set an end date where people had literally come out to see him. He worked it out about 2 weeks to go or a week to go, that he needed to average 75k a day or 70k. So he's running double marathons or almost double marathons for nearly 40, 50 milers for about 2 weeks. So yeah, absolutely incredible achievement.
Amazing.
And
I love the fact as well. He finished wearing the
Tunisia.
England football shirt.
Yeah.
What year was it from? It was like 1990 shirt or something like that.
Yeah, it's a proper retro one.
Yeah, it's wicked.
So that was pretty awesome because I think he finished on Sunday. And if you haven't seen the last video that he did, I very heartily recommend to go and watch that, because that was a really, really emotional video to watch him crossing the finish line. But there were 2 marathons last weekend, Brighton and Paris.
There was indeed, yes.
And they're, from what I understand, quite tricky weather-wise, because Paris and Europe was experiencing a heat wave last week. And we've got a mate called Sam Bauer that went out to do it, and he was quite relieved that on the Sunday temperatures were down to peaks of 18, because the day before it was about 26 or 28.
Peaks of 18 in April.
I know.
Crazy.
So he did really, really well. So shout out to Sam Bauer, Droitwich's answer to the hardest geezer. He went out with his brother, and a little squad of them all went out together. And do you know what I love about this? So Sam ran with his brother Ben, and Sam said to me, he said, I'm always the fastest one out of the group. I'm always the one who always finishes first. Yeah. And I looked at their finish time, so I was tracking him with his brother.
Didn't they run it all together, like next to each other?
Well, I'm not sure if all sort of 5 or 6 of them ran together. I know they started together, but whether they sort of broke apart.
Sam and his brother did, didn't he?
Sam and his brother ran together, but I clocked that he finished 13 seconds ahead of Ben, his brother. So I reckon he's dropped him with about 100 meters to go.
He's got to have, isn't he?
And he's gone for the glory.
That's amazing.
So he's kept his title as the fastest brother. So yeah, fair play. So Sam and Ben got it done with 3:43.
The classic sit and kick.
Exactly. You know, that's what he's probably drafted off him the whole way as well. So yeah, and also a big shout out to those of you that did Brighton as well, because I've got massively fond memories. It was my first ever one, and from what I've read, there was quite a strong headwind. I don't know if you know the section, but coming back into Brighton, there's a big stretch from the opposite direction, so coming towards Hove. Yeah. So you're running into the wind as far as I'm aware, and I think a lot of people said the same. From about 25k onwards, there was a big 10k stretch where there was a big brutal headwind. So Kieran Turner went out there. We were mentioning him only a week ago because he had a bit of a virus and it struck him down. And he wasn't even sure whether he'd even make the start line at one point. But he dusted himself down. He got on the start line and he smashed it. He did it in 3:50. That was his marathon debut. So he did it well under sub 4. Admittedly, he said that he went out too fast. And he ignored all of his race strategies. And he said he would run the whole thing to heart rate. But don't forget, he's doing London in 2 weeks as well.
Yes.
And he said he would run it a bit differently, but that's racing, isn't it? That's
of course.
You know, that's what we do. You feel good at the start. You go through halfway. You think, oh, I feel all right, actually. And then bang, you get to 15 miles, close to 20 mile, and you realise, not quite feeling so good as I would like to be feeling. But yes, massive well done to anyone. Rayleigh Adventures as well.
Oh, yeah. I did see that. Going back to Kieran quickly, I did see that Kieran put a comment on the last video about saying that he 100% didn't hit the wall because of the zero strength training he was doing. It was 100% electrolytes.
It's always electrolytes. It's always a lack of electrolytes.
Whichever was great. But yeah,
it's always electrolytes.
Ryan and Hayley from Rayleigh's Adventures on YouTube, they also ran Brighton. It was Hayley's first ever marathon, and she ran it in 4:08:02. So, again, amazing.
It's a
great time for your first ever marathon. So, well done, Hayley. And Ryan, he absolutely smashed it. He got
obliterated it.
He got a PB of 10 minutes and he ran a 2:45.
That's good, because
Which is
I don't know
crazy.
if you've seen the elevation graph of Brighton, but it's you front load the hills first half, and the
Yes.
second half is about hanging on. And a 2:45 at Brighton is very, very good. That is insane achievement. So yeah, very well done to those guys.
Apparently, because we were chatting earlier before we recorded about positioning at like different marathons and what times would get you where in the thing and everything. And Ryan, I think he came 17th overall at Brighton.
Wow, did he?
Yeah.
Wow, that's. I wonder if he was running on his own for a lot of it as well. He probably was.
Yeah, I watched his video today, and it looks like a very lonely run.
I did watch it, yeah, but I didn't really clock that, because there was always people around. I didn't realise that he had no one to sort of follow or to chase or to race. So yeah, that's and there's somebody else I've been watching as well. I don't know if you've heard of Crown My Run, which is a YouTube channel, which is a POV thing, and it's the Mills brothers. So there's D Mills, there's J Mills, and W Mills, and I think it was J Mills, Jody, I think, who did the marathon in Brighton, and I'm not sure of his time. I think he did just over 3, but he looked like he had a really good race. And yeah, so if you raced at the weekend, let us know how you got on. We'd love to hear from you. Can you just remind everyone of our podcast email, because I can't remember what it is?
It is runningtheredlinepod@gmail.com. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah. runningtheredlinepod@gmail.com.
So either leave us a comment in the YouTube description here, or follow us on Instagram, or do all 3, or send us an email. But we also wanted to really quickly chat about, well, not really quickly, because we want to cover it quite extensively, actually, about Manchester, because that is coming up this weekend. So before we start to talk to Brett about his approach, we've got a few people that we know are doing it between us. So a couple of people that I know from here in Worcester, Donato is going up to do it. And so is Mac, friend of the podcast, Mac.
Friend of the pod, Mac.
So Mac, I'm sorry, by the way, that I threw you massively under the bus saying you could do a 3:39. I know how it feels when people say that you're faster than you are. It's horrible, isn't it? It's not very nice. So yes, 3:39, please. But no, all the best to you, mate. I know you've been training hard, and you want your sub 4, and you went through his approach today, which I thought was very measured. He wanted to do almost like he's split, because he said it in Ks. What he wants to do is he wants to do 32K at the pace that he's been training at.
Yeah.
And then he's going to do the last 5K, the last 10K split into 2. The 32 to 37, which is where he would admittedly usually start to bonk, he's going to kick on and try and go 20 seconds faster, or 10 seconds faster per K. And then the last 5K, he said he's just going to full send it and empty the tank.
Excellent.
So
that
good
sounds
luck to
like
you,
an
mate.
Absolute plan. Yes,
so,
go for it,
yeah.
Mac.
So yeah, good luck. Get up and over that hill and then smash it. So a couple of other folk that I know that are running it. We've got 30-something Mike, a guy that I've never actually met. 30-something Mike's got a really good YouTube channel. You can normally find him on the trails, but he's gone for a road marathon I think it's his first ever one. So best of luck to you, Mike. I know you'll do really, really well.
Best of luck, Mike. Yeah.
So yeah, good luck to you, mate. And we've got a couple of people here. We've got Stewie, who some of you might follow. Danny runs, who she's got her own YouTube channel, because I think she's running London in 2 weeks, or just over a week. Her partner Stuart is going for 2:30. Now, an interesting thing about Stewie, as he's known on Instagram, Stewie runs, PT Stewie runs. He was the one that we were chatting about, who dislocated his shoulder at the running show on the Travelator.
Trying to be a gladiator.
Yeah. So if any of you went to the running show this year, there was a Travelator from Gladiators, basically, and you could basically have a go and see if he could do it. And I've seen the footage of it, and he just fell straight on his shoulder. And you just know, don't you, that something's wrong straight away by the body language, and you can just sort of see him, and he's like, so yeah. So that, I think that was probably, I think they just walked through the doors on the Saturday morning as well.
Oh,
so then straight to the QE, I think, to get themselves sorted. So good luck to you, Stewie. Hope you do well, mate.
Yeah, best of luck, man.
And finally, before you introduce a couple of folk, I want to say a big shout out to Tommy D from the Try Hard Harriers down in South Wales. Upper Swans from, it's a bit of Swansean there for you. Big Swansea City fan. He's going to go for sub-3. I'm pretty sure he'll be up there with you and Will.
Ace.
And TQ on the Run, who's also got a YouTube channel, is Todd Quiney. I think I'm not sure on his time, but he's going to be, he's going to be kicking on as well.
He's a quick guy as well, isn't he? So he'll be up ahead of us. Yeah.
And just before you mention a few, one person wrote on Instagram who's not doing Manchester, who's doing a 10K this weekend, who we want to wish well, who listens to the podcast, called Danny Finley. He's running a race I've not heard of, which is over in Liverpool. I think it's Liverpool, which is the Mersey Tunnel 10K. And so we want to wish you well, and I hope that goes well for you, mate.
Yeah, have a great race, man. So Manchester as well. Obviously, Will is going to be there with me. Hopefully, we're going to set off at the same pace and set up a little bit of a group to run with. So, Will, I will see you there. There's also a lad called Andy Devine, who will be running. He started a YouTube channel last year and did a few videos, but started to run out of time making the videos, so he's put that on pause recently. Hopefully he'll come back and make a few more, but he's a good lad. We've arranged to meet up because he's staying in a hotel just around the corner from my hotel, so we're going to meet each other in the morning and get down, because it's the first time he's done Manchester. So hopefully I can point him in the right direction. That's if I go the right direction myself. But so he's going for exactly the same time in exactly the same pace as me as well. So we'll be setting off together, and should be good. So I'll see you there as well, Andy. Then there is the two running brooms.
Legends.
Who will be running Manchester. So
legends. Please get a selfie with them if you see them.
Yeah,
please.
I will 100%. I'll get them on camera and get them on the video. Of course I will. But they're both going for good for age times for London, same as me. So they've also been caught up in the dropping of the good for age times. So I think they should hopefully still be on track to get those times.
The good for age nonsense. I wonder if everyone's going to realise, oh God, I actually need to run 5 seconds per mile quicker. Mm-hmm. Is that what everyone's going to start doing? Like I haven't trained for this, but I'm going to have to go for it.
I don't know. That's the thing that could be quite bad at Manchester on Sunday, is the fact that London have done that. So people are going to go out too fast because they've suddenly realised that the times they've been training for aren't actually going to get them that good for age that they've been hoping to achieve. Yeah. So it could cause a lot of hitting the wall on Sunday. Yeah. You never know. Yeah. We shall see. But and then obviously Matt Rees, the Welsh runner, is going to be running as well, but he will be way up the front. I think he's hoping to break 2:20. Is he? Yeah.
I think so.
Obviously the other one who's going to be there is Shakalaka. Nick Bester is going to be up there with his Adidas 3 stripes in his hair and his number on the other side. So you'll be able to spot him from miles off.
I think he's quite a big lad as well, isn't he? He's like 6'5" or something, isn't he? So to run the speeds that he does is almost like superhuman, isn't it? Like to be 6'6" or something and run a 2:20 marathon.
He's got an advantage. He's got longer legs.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the cadence, doesn't he? It's easier for those guys.
Yeah, exactly. He could probably run at half the cadence of me and still go the same speed.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our little shout outs for everyone that we know. Sorry if we've
So,
missed anybody out.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same. Sorry if we missed anyone, but have the best time ever on Sunday, and make sure if you see me, say hi. And I'm going to hopefully everyone who mentions that they listen to the pod and everything, I'm going to take a selfie and put it onto the stories on our Instagram page. So
Shout
Sorry.
Barry's videos at him if you see him.
That would be brilliant. Yeah.
Or if you run past Brett, say mum bye. If you overtake him, please do that. Someone's got to do it.
Obviously, I won't be taking the selfies whilst I'm running. I'll get you on camera, but before and after, if I do see you, I'll get you up on the Instagram page. So please do say hi. It would be great to chat to everybody who does listen. So should be good.
I'm mega excited for you. I'm not even doing the race, and I wish I was, because the hype around Manchester this year is massive. I feel like so many people are doing it this year. Well, it sold out early doors, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
And it didn't the year before.
I was lucky to get a place actually in the last little bit of entries they had when they put them out.
Yeah.
So it sold out really quick.
It's gonna be amazing. I think there's gonna be about 26,000? No,
not that many. I think there's more than that. I think there's 35. I think possibly.
Jesus.
Like that.
Wow, that's not far off London numbers, is it? That's big. Wow, that's big. That's mega. You must be so excited, mate.
Yeah, I am really looking forward to it, to be honest. So we'll see. I'll put my number onto my singlet tonight. And it all sort of started to sink in that it's less than 2 days away.
Well, yeah. Why don't we just chat all things Manchester then, and as far as you're concerned? So, talk us through then. The next, we know what you're up to tomorrow. So obviously, maybe tomorrow is not the ideal marathon prep, but at least it's sort of taken your mind off it. So, so at least there's that. So when you get off the train, hopefully you get a decent 8 hours kip. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be honest, it's a night before a marathon, so you'd be lucky to get 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So how is your morning and your pre-race routine going to look?
So I'm going to hopefully get up with plenty of time to go. And the night before, I'm going to lay out all of my kit, everything I need to make sure it's all there, ready to go. So it's just a case of getting up and putting all the kit on, putting everything into my running belt or my pockets, and I can leave the hotel. But as soon as I get up, I will eat, and I'll probably have my classic morning breakfast of malt loaf. And then as I get to the race, so I'll go and get the tram, and then when we get off the tram and get to like the baggage drop off, I'm going to take a carb drink with me, and I'm going to have a gel when I get there as well. Well, I say a gel. I'm going to have a couple of blocks of Voom bar, and then I'll get into the start area, because it's really weird because they let you into the start area about 45, 50 minutes before your start time. But the start area, there's nowhere to go and nowhere to really warm up or anything. So I'm going to have to try and find somewhere to do a few strides and a bit of a jog up and down and do my drills and stuff.
Yeah.
But the morning is pretty much going to be get up, eat, put all my kit on, get out the door, get over to baggage drop off, ready to get to the start line. It's going to be all straightforward, A to B, no messing around, and just get there and try and get into the zone and the headspace that I need at the start line.
Yeah, that's What time is your kickoff, by the way? What time's your expected start time?
My actual start time is 9:10, but
Okay.
the start area opens at 8:15.
Yeah.
So we've got to get into the start area between 8:15 and 8:25.
Yeah. So are you pretty happy with that? Because I mean, I guess that suits you down to the ground, is it? Because Parkrun's normally 9 o'clock, and most runs you're no stranger to a morning run, are you? Because I know a lot of people. I think, is it Ben Parks that always says he hates morning runs, which is why he quite likes London, because very often it's like a 10 or 11 o'clock start.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, 10 o'clock start.
So yeah, I mean, I think 9 o'clock is because I always like to think ahead as well and think, well, I still want to have a bit of a day afterwards. I don't want to finish too late. And then when you start thinking about what the weather could possibly do, which have you checked, by the way? I'm sure it's a silly question to ask a marathon runner.
I have checked a few times, and I'm going to check again right at this moment just to make sure that nothing has changed. But Sunday, there is a low of 7 degrees and a high. Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
You can. Sorry, my AirPods just said they were connected to my phone, and I was like, have they just disappeared off the computer? Sorry.
No, you still hear.
So there's a low of 7 degrees at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then the high will be 13 degrees at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So when we start at 9 o'clock, it's going to be 9 degrees.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the time I've finished, it will be 12. So that's pretty much perfect.
Pretty much bob on, isn't it? And what about the sun coverage? Do you know if it's going to be grey or?
Just says cloudy.
And not much wind or fairly windy? Or
it doesn't say wind, so right, I'm not sure. Okay.
Well, fingers crossed. That sounds not far off borderline perfect conditions. Because if it's too far one way, if it's if you're looking at 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees, like we mentioned in what was that marathon in Japan where everyone had hypothermia?
Yeah.
Then it's too cold. Like, yes, you're not going to worry about the sun melting you away, but you've got to worry about you literally you get hypothermic, especially if you mix that with rain as well. You could be in big trouble. And then if it goes too far the other way, if you're starting the race at 9 a.m. and it's already 15 degrees, then you could be you could be in a world of pain by 20 mile. But no, that sounds like if you could plan it, that's pretty much how you'd want it.
Yeah. So we're fingers crossed it stays like that. It looks like it might rain on the Saturday, but that might be quite good because it might clear the mugginess out of the air and make it so Sunday is a bit better. So we'll see. Fingers crossed.
So you're on that start line then, and the gun goes off, and your race starts. Have you just got one pace you're going to just keep running to, or have you got like a negative split strategy, or
So my strategy is to go out at 6:40 pace, which is 2:55 pace.
Yeah.
And similar to Mac, at 20 miles, because I don't work in them foreign things called kilometers like Mac does, and you. So at 20 miles, I am going to see where I'm at, see how I feel, and if I can pick up the pace, I will pick up the pace.
Yeah.
It all depends on how I feel at that point. All I know is I want to get to 20 miles at that 6:40 pace, and then in that last 10k, I am just going to empty the tank. I'm going to cross the finish line with nothing left, and see what happens. So, yeah. Whether that's I've got nothing left because my legs won't move because they're full of cramp, or I've got nothing left because I've just sprinted for the line. Either way, I'll have nothing left when I cross that finish line.
Either way, you're going to be Ian Beale. You're going to be that meme of Ian Beale. I've got nothing left. Yeah. Well, that's that's probably the best way to run it, because I know you were saying, we were talking earlier about making the decision in the moment to avoid having regrets in the future. And I guess that's the only way, isn't it? You've just got to see what your body can do and trust the training that you've been doing. You've been training well. You've run the distance before. You've run sub 3 before, so you know what it takes. So you've just got to trust that you can just go. I mean, you're only looking at what do you remember what your average pace per mile would have been last year? I guess just under 650, would it?
650 was my average pace last year, because 651 is sub 3. So about 650, 649, 650 was last year's pace.
In miles, then, do you feel that? Well, of course you will, but how do you feel that 10 seconds quicker per mile? How does it impact you? Do you feel it? Does the effort feel the same as sub 3 pace, 2:59:59 pace, 2:59:21 pace? Does it feel much different, or does it feel like, right, I'm engaged now?
It does, but it's not a huge difference. I think once you start getting even quicker, that's when you start to notice the difference. But I think the thing that's going to be interesting is last year I got to 20 miles at 6:40 pace. And that's when the wheels fell off, and that last 10K didn't go to plan. Yeah. So I've sort of got the same game plan as I had last year. I'm just hoping that I've managed to make my hamstrings and my calf and my quad a bit stronger, and they won't fatigue as much and cause me to limp across the line rather than finishing strong.
Yeah. So just quickly talk us through your nutrition again. So I know you said you were going to go with the Voom electrolytes and the caffeine as well, or is it?
So I've got a mixture of the Voom caffeine ones, and I've got the pink grapefruit flavour for that. Which, because you've tried the berry caffeine ones, haven't you?
Yeah.
And we were both saying they're a little bit bitter, aren't they? And I was like, I thought that might have been the caffeine that was in them, but I think it might be just the berry flavour, because the pink grapefruit ones don't taste like that at all. They're really, really good. So so I've got the pink grapefruit caffeine ones, and then I've got a raspberry electrolyte one and a lemon and lime electrolyte one. So I can keep on mixing and changing the flavours so I don't get that flavour fatigue. But then I've also got my Power Shot gels as well, which are the little jelly sweets. Yeah. So I can have a mixture of both of those. And the Power Bar ones have got caffeine in as well. So I've got all of that. And then I've also got, for my electrolytes, I've got little salt sticks capsules. So I'll be taking those when we hit the water stations as well.
And have you practiced with all these different fuels in different compartments of your running belt? I presume you have. You know where everything's going to be.
Yeah. So I've put them all into little Ziploc bags, and they'll be stashed across the front of my belt, and I'll know which ones are which and where they need to be and things like that.
So will you set up alerts on your watch, or will you just literally know, right, every 3 mile, every 5K, every 25 minutes or whatever it's going to be, every 20 minutes you'll take something? Is it 20 minutes you'll go for, or 5K?
No, I'll go every 3 mile is my
3 mile.
Is what I've got planned. So I'll take my first ones at 6 mile, and then every 3 mile after that. But what's really good is I've looked at the water stations for Manchester, and they are pretty much every 3 mile.
Right.
So I'll be able to take my energy, like Voom bar or my Power Bar, and then get my capsule for my electrolytes ready for when I hit the water station, and then take that with water.
So you'll take the Voom at like 2.2 miles, 2.5 miles, and then you will have already had it, and you'll wash it down with the water? Or you'll have your.
Yeah, but I want the water to be able not only to hydrate, but I want it to be able to take the salt stick capsule as well, because it's not because they're capsules, they're like tablets, so you can't swallow it without liquid.
Yeah. So have you then got I know the answer to this already, but like an ABC goal?
No.
I thought I knew the answer to that.
There is no real A, B, or C target, but
Target, sorry.
but yeah, it only if it doesn't go to plan will a B or a C come into play.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only target I have is 255.
Yeah, fair enough. Because that's what you've been training for
Yeah.
a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, moment of truth then. If you were a betting man, would you bet on yourself?
I'll always bet on myself.
Yeah.
I'll always bet on myself. But sometimes it goes right, sometimes it doesn't. You can't always have your way, and that's the beauty of this sport. Is if you expect to have a great race every single race, you're fooling yourself, because that's never going to happen. But if you put the hard work in, there's a much higher chance that it could go to plan and go the right way. So I know I've put the work in. I know I've really pushed myself this training block and worked hard to get the mileage in my legs, to get the paces in my legs, and to get my head into a space where I'm confident. And so I bet on myself, I back myself, but you never know what can happen on the day.
Yeah. It's good to be an optimist, but it's also good to be a realist, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly why I'm not going to go out too fast.
Yeah.
Which is my classic. In most races, I go out too fast, but that's something you can't do in the marathon. The marathon is a different beast. Every other distance, 5K, 10K, half marathon, you can go out too fast and still claw it back and hold on. You go out too fast in the marathon, you're done.
Yeah. So I saw a guy the other day who ran sub 3 in Brighton, called Tom O'Cleary, his name is. Met him briefly at Chester. That's where I met him, but I know him through someone else called Nathan. And Nathan Cannon is also a good runner. He's the guy that I've talked about before, who ran from his house in Banbury to Cardiff for a coffee. Is it hard? Is it Hardlines Coffee?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's a really quite a cool coffee shop down there in Cardiff, and I think they've even got a running club, haven't they, or something?
Yeah, but they're roasters, so they roast their own beans.
Yeah, but he literally, it was his birthday, and he was like, "What should I do for my birthday this year? I don't know. I'll run for a flat white." But the problem is, the flat white was 150 mile away. So he did it. He did it across 3 days. I think he did 350 miles. He must have been watching Hardest Geezer, but he's a 240 marathoner, Nathan. So fair play, Nathan. I think he's running London in a week's time.
Oh, nice.
So if you are listening, best of luck, Nathan. But Tom, who ran a sub 3 at Brighton, he positive splitted a sub 3. And if I asked him, how do you feel about not negative splitting your race? I know what he's going to say. I don't care, mate, because I got a sub 3.
Yeah.
Because his last race, he did a 320 or 318 or 19. So a massive, massive improvement to knock 20 minutes, especially towards the faster end of marathon times. And I looked at his graph, and he did slowly get a bit slower, but he went out probably at about 250 pace. And then he got humbled at 20 miles, like we all do. And then he came in at something like 259. That's very similar to you. But that's another thing I was going to ask. I know we've sort of mentioned this a few times, but if you've got the perfect race strategy in this hand, or the perfect time, or your target or goal time in this hand, what is more important to you? Because I think, again, I know what you're going to say.
The time is more important, because that is the target, and how you get there doesn't really matter as long as you achieve it. I mean, the perfect race strategy, yeah, great. It's wonderful. And if you do the perfect race strategy and get your time and your target, then doubly great. But I'd have a bad race and get my target time over executing the perfect race and not quite hitting target every single time.
I think if you're gonna negative split a race, you've got to have serious faith in your ability, haven't you?
Yes,
if you're being
100%.
honest, whether that's a 5K or a marathon, an ultra, whatever it is, to negative split anything requires fitness. Let's be honest. It does require a good, hard level of fitness, because let's say you want to go and run a 255, but you want a negative split a 255. You'll probably set off at 258 pace, but you'll probably have to close at 252 pace. So that's where the fitness comes in. Like, you need to know how it feels to run beyond, like, do what the Woo does. You need to know how it feels late on to run not only target marathon pace, but 5-10 seconds faster than it, because no longer target marathon pace is target, because you will miss target, won't you? If you're trying to negative split. So I think I wouldn't say it's not a dangerous way to run a race. It's a brave way to run a race. If you execute it, everyone is going to be your best mate. Everyone's going to be telling you the best thing since sliced bread. But it doesn't always go that way. And my biggest worry about trying to negative split a race is I don't know how I'm going to feel in that last 10K. What about if I have gone out too slow and I've still hit the wall anyway? Or what about if, what about if XYZ happens? And I know banking time, people say, is a myth. It's not a myth. It's not a myth. It can't be a myth.
No,
banking,
it's not a myth at certain paces, but I think it's a myth when you get down to the low, like when you get down to 2.5 hours, 2:20, then banking time, I would say, doesn't really happen, because if you've gone out too quick at that pace, but where we are, I think you can bank a bit of time. That's exactly what I did last year. Really, I wanted to go sub 3, but went out at 2:55 pace. And
that's the secret, isn't it? If you do go out a bit fast, and I'm not advocating the going out too fast tactic here, because I don't want everyone coming at me this time next week saying you ruined my Manchester race. But that's the thing, isn't it? If you back yourself with a good level of fitness, if you go out a bit harder when you're fresh, you could have done yourself a big favor, because all you need to do is relax into a 20 second, 30 seconds slower per mile. Maybe not that slow, but like the last 10K, and you could still hit target. You could still come in below it. So what I'm saying is, I'm starting to realize that everyone that goes on at me saying the only way to run a race, the only good way to run a race, or running 101, is run a negative split. I also think I would counter that and say, well, I'm also here for a good time, not just a good race strategy. Yes, I want to feel good at the end, but that's what the big question is. Would you rather feel good at the end of a marathon, having missed out on your target time, or feel horrific at the end of a marathon, and have risked it all for a biscuit, but got that time? So that's a question. That's an internal fight you're going to have with yourself.
Well, this is the thing. If you cross the finish line feeling great and feeling like you've still got miles in your legs, then you haven't done your best time. You haven't done what you were capable of, and you've always got that, if only I'd have pushed it a little bit more on that last couple of miles. Whereas if you finish with the tank empty, there's nothing else you could have done.
What about if you finish feeling strong, and if you finish with a sprint finish, if you finish with a last good 5K, does that fall in that category as well for you? Do you think you could have pushed it a bit further back? You could have pushed on, because I'll be honest, that is something that I would aspire to do, not limp over a finish line, but I want to do both. I want to finish a marathon strong and obliterate a time, which I know doesn't always, you don't always get the luxury of doing both.
Yeah. I'd love to finish a marathon without cramp. Is my number one.
Yeah.
That's what I would love. I'd love to finish a marathon strong and be able to actually put in a kick in that last mile. I would love that. But yeah, I don't know. It's the hitting that target time for me is the big target. That's what I want.
And how you get there is up to you, and it's only up to you.
Exactly.
So it's only your two legs that can carry you to that time.
Exactly. And as I say, with a negative split, I'd take a negative split of going through half at 1:27:30 and running the second half at 1:27:29.
Yeah.
I'd take that as a negative split.
Yeah. So you mentioned what Mac is doing. Did you say that's what you would like to do in a perfect world? Get to that last 5-10K?
Yeah. So
what
20
about
mile, 10K to go. If I feel good, push on, and then push on as much as I can going through that 10K.
So something that frightens me is what happened to Will. So in Amsterdam, the same thing was happening to him. If anything, he was strong the whole way through. And then he gets to 38K, which is not even a 3 mile to go, not even Parkrun to go. And then he gets smashed with cramp, or is that just bad luck? Or, is that just the marathon biting you? Because that's what marathons do.
That is both the horrificness and beauty of marathon running. Is it can get you at any time. That you are never safe. And that's the thing. Look at all of the races where like people up the front of races over history have their legs have wobbled on that last, 500 meters, and they've ended up losing because they've ended up falling on the floor and crawling. It's a beast, the marathon.
That's what makes it so much fun, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why people are so not addicted, but so like into marathon running. Is because it is a completely different thing to everything else.
Yeah, it requires such a mindset that you obviously haven't always had. Well, I'm not speaking for everyone, but for me, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I didn't have the ability to know what it feels like to dig as hard, work as hard as you're required to work with the last 5K to go. Like I had no idea that even existed before I started running. And it's like, it's one of the best things I've ever done is do a marathon. And what am I, 5 or 6 in now? And
and you're one of the 1%.
Yeah. It's such a cool club to be in. I wonder if that 1%, how many of that 1% can negative split a marathon? That must be but negative split a hard marathon, not negative split something that's easy for you. That is a really, it does interest me, to be honest. I would really like to be able to do that at Newport, because in my 3 peak weeks, I did 2 out of 3 went really, really well. One of them was Fish and 20, which I did in blocks of 3, which I eased into marathon pace. And if I did that at Newport, I would come nowhere near target time, because I'd probably get in about, yes, it would break the 3:42 when I break, but that's probably about 3:40 pace, because I didn't go quick enough, early enough on. But that was week 10 out of 16. So that's why I ran it that way. And I'm glad I did. Next week, I went to the forest and I tried to do 3 10K loops, and it just didn't happen. I just couldn't do it. Maybe that was just exhaustion from the week before. I'm not sure. Last week, I went and did a really good 35K, and I introduced more marathon pace, twice as much as fishing, and no easy miles. Everything was steady and above. So I'm learning that I can run fast for a long time, and fast is obviously relative to me, but I'm learning to dig. I'm learning to just get stuck in. And that's
Yeah.
what I love. And it takes years. I mean, I'm a relative newbie. I've only been doing this 4 years because I'm a lockdown runner. I only started lacing up around lockdown, and it's taken me 4 years to realize that this process could take. I might never. Well, you're never going to crack it because you're always going to want something else, aren't you?
Yeah.
But this process is not fixable overnight. It's something it's a carrot that dangles in front of you, and it never goes away. And that's what makes it so brilliant.
Yeah, it's that consistency and being willing to go to the bottom of the well.
I like that. Yeah. Because you do go to some dark places, don't you? You do doubt everything. You doubt your body. You doubt your mind. Your mind will give up before your body will, won't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, yes, it will.
So if any of you get to the top of that hill in Altrincham and you're starting to doubt it, fight back. You've still got more. You've got more. Get to the top of Altrincham and think. Just have that like Rocky moment. You've done it. That's the hard work done. Well, yes, now you could say the hard work starts, but you get to the top of that hill, it's all downhill from there. And that's where you've really got to dig in.
And when you hit the top of that hill in Altrincham, there's loads of people in Altrincham like supporting. On the hill, there's not so many people, but you hit the top of it and you just see the crowds of people. So yeah, enjoy that when you get to the top, because that's yeah.
Manchester's going to be rammed. If you think about it, I reckon there's at least 5,000, maybe more. If you think there's in the 30s, I'm sure there was only low 20s last year. So that means if there's an extra possibly 10,000 runners, if each person on average has brought one purse with them, that's an extra 10,000 people in Manchester City Centre. Mm-hmm. So it could be, the atmosphere could be insane, and it could be the difference that carries you, you know, through the hard times. So just enjoy the crowds. I love the crowds. I do. I love having fun with the crowds.
Yeah. The crazy thing is as well, I think the last wave of runners start at 11 o'clock. And their cut-off time is 6 hours. So there will be people running a 6-hour marathon starting at 11 o'clock. They won't finish till 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's a big shift, isn't it?
8.5.
Yeah. But I mean, 6-hour marathon is the same distance as a 3-hour marathon.
Yeah,
so it's,
exactly. Yeah, I've got massive respect for anyone who's running those sorts of times at the back, because I wouldn't want to be
arguably
on
harder
for that long. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be on my feet for that long.
Yeah,
no way.
And you know, another way you can look at it is finish lines, not finish times. You could just want to just complete this thing. You could just be doing Manchester because you want to see what your body's made of. You might not even wear a watch. You might not even care. You just want to see what you can do. This might be your first ever marathon. It might be your 100th. I don't know. But especially if it is your first, I can't tell you what you're in for. You're in for a treat. And you're going to face your demons. But yeah, you're going to realize what sort of a person you are. And that's what I love about marathon running. You're going to run. You're going to realize who you really are.
Yeah. The real you will come out big time. And that feeling of crossing the finish line is possibly the best feeling you'll ever have.
And this is probably going to get a bit therapeutic, really. But I've said this before, Brett, you're basically my therapist. But if you're a sort of person like me, who's always been considered a bit of a joke, a bit of a clown, and all of a sudden you get into your running, you can have the chance to show people I'm not such a waste of space anymore like I used to think I was. Yeah. I can actually do things now. I can actually work really hard, and I can be disciplined, and I can be in that 1% club. I can do things that many people who used to laugh and joke about me could never do. Mm-hmm. And that's the best thing about it. You can show people what version of yourself you are now. And that's the clincher for me. It's all about being the best version of yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. It's all about being better than who you were.
Yeah. Well, we're getting very philosophical on the podcast, and I don't like it. We need to bring back a bit of stupidity. Speaking of stupidity, we've had stupidity. Don't really name some countries, some stupid countries now. We've looking at the podcast downloads. We've had some listens in Taiwan.
Oh,
and also I'm sorry that I segued from being stupid to Taiwan. You're not stupid if you're from Taiwan. Thank you for listening. Czech Republic are back. I can't believe they've come back for more. Cyprus,
excellent.
Denmark, Japan, Norway, Portugal, India, Austria. And then the top 5 is the good old UK, Ireland, Australia, Netherlands, and New Zealand. And Sweden.
Wow.
Creeping into 6th. So thank you all so much for listening. But before we go...
So America's dropped right off.
America, yeah, I can't believe it. They showed so much potential. They've positive splitted this podcast. They basically listened to the first, everyone in America listened to our first ever episode and they've listened to another one. So they're never in the top 5 top 5 recent listens anymore. So, but yeah, our all-time, let me just say, if there's been any movement, because I did mention, didn't I, that Holland, I've lost the page now, mate. You'll have to take my word for it. Holland are hot on the heels of Ireland, who are hot on the heels of Australia. But yeah, USA is still second and UK top. So yeah,
okay.
Worldwide listeners, I can't believe it. Absolutely crazy.
It is crazy.
We've done 14 of these now. I can't believe we've done 14. We've wasted 14. So it's average hour and 45. We've done about nearly 25 hours worth of. We've wasted 25 hours of people's lives. So thank you all so much for listening. We do very much appreciate it. But we have got a pre-marathon Brett's End of the Podcast quiz. So would you like to do it? Have you got anything? Any other business you would like to say?
Before we do that, did we have a couple of emails that we can quickly go through?
Yes, we did. Okay, so we've got one here from Adam. Let me just get your name right, McElhinney, and he says, "I love the podcast and both your YouTube channels. Thank you very much. I look forward to the new videos each week. Just wanted to say a massive good luck to Brett ahead of next Manchester next week. I'll be there too. He's in the maroon wave, and he said he's much slower than you guys, going for 4 to 4:15.
Still a good time.
Still a damn good time, that, mate.
It is, yeah.
The look of pure happiness on Brett's face when he crossed the finish line of Manchester last year is what I've been visualizing in my training when things get tough. Amazing. If you haven't seen that video and you're running Manchester, type in Manchester Marathon Obi-Wan Brand, watch it. Last minute of it is brilliant. Of you crossing the line, phenomenal piece of cinema. It's up there with Scorsese and Tarantino. It's brilliant. We did have another one that came in from David Merritt, and he said, just wanted to wish you both good luck for the marathons. Brett clearly on track for a 2:55, maybe even a 2:50. My bet is 2:51.12. If all goes well with a 2:56, if the cramp gets you, I'm sure it won't. And Andy can smash his 3:42 target and think 3:30 is doable. Oh, you both drafted me here, Dave. You've done me as well. Let's say 3:29.20 if it's on, Andy, and 3:37 if you're on the struggle bus. Either way, hope you have fun. That's what it's all about. While I'm emailing, I've got Boston Marathon here, Lincolnshire, not Massachusetts. Same day as Andy's got Newport. But my marathon block has been bookended by strife. COVID at the start, which hit me like a truck, and a 1-2 punch of a cold and tonsillitis a week ago, right when I was meant to be peaking. I bagged a sub-3 at Manchester last year. So while it's disappointing, the monkey's off my back at least. 2:57.48 if you're curious. But the question is, what would you do in my situation, race strategy wise, or more generally, how do you approach races when you don't think you're in peak condition, if you know you're not in peak condition?
Right. Well, I don't think you can go off at PB pace if you know you're not in peak condition, because that's just a recipe for hitting the wall towards the end. So I think you've got to be a bit more conservative. If you 100% know you're not in the fittest shape for like PB, but yeah, it all depends on whether it's just a feeling you've got of your fitness or whether it is actual fitness. So I think you've got to look back at your training, see how you felt during your training, and see what your paces were like, and tally up compared to previous training. So when you hit your 2:57 in Manchester, which congratulations, that's an amazing time. Have a look at what you were doing in training. That's one of the beauties of Strava, is it's all there still in black and white. So you can look back and see what sort of paces you were hitting, what the training sessions were like, and try and think back to how you felt then, and then think about what you've been doing now. Where are the paces similar, or are they definitely slower? And do you feel a lot worse than you were back then? And then I think that will help you make a decision of whether you do go out a little bit quicker, or you definitely go out conservatively and just go for the time you're capable of now, rather than what you might be possibly capable of if you'd had a perfect block.
Yeah. I think also you've got to look after your health as well. So if, like Brett said, if you know that you're not in peak shape, but you think it could be, let's just say, a virus, because I know there's a lot of them going around at the moment, then you could, it could be a real recipe for disaster if you go out at PB pace. You could really, really be pushing yourself beyond the limits of safety, really. So, and also, even if you do get to the finish line, having not collapsed, you could end up just having a really bad day at the office and cursing marathons and cursing running. So I think, yeah, I echo everything Brett said. I think you've got to just look back at your training. Is it? I'm sure it's not paranoia. I'm sure you actually are very, you've really, like you said, with your tonsillitis and stuff. Hopefully you get to the start line fresh. But if you've got your health and you've got like a previous good base fitness from previous marathons and whatever you were doing before Christmas, then yeah, you could you can almost start out at a steady pace, couldn't you? Or you don't have to start off at an easy pace. You can start off steady and just go from there.
Yeah, just build into it. Do like we did in our 20 milers, just slowly build into it gradually and see how you feel, and then that will allow you to either back off again or keep on increasing that pace.
Yeah, you could look at it as the start of the next training block. So this is just a really long Sunday run, and you could look at doing a 6-month training block for your next, your next race, which is coming up in the autumn or something like that. But don't unnecessarily put yourself through pain. The marathon does that itself anyway. So don't.
There's other marathons. It's not like it's your last ever marathon. So this one might not go to plan, but there are other races, and you can always enter another race and go for it again.
It's just another story for the scrapbook, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Were there any comments, by the way, on the YouTubes or on the Instagrams? Or
good question.
I know we've had a couple of comments about Will's last week.
Yes.
So I know.
Have a quick look.
I think Will sent our ratings through the roof, didn't he?
I think he did. Yes, it's been one of our best listened to.
We've had
pods on the.
We've had record breaking numbers all week. So we'll be advertising Squarespace soon.
We've had a comment here from at Freddie Runs, who said, "I'm 109 kilograms. I'm now looking forward to my next carb load."
Good lad. Get stuck in, son. Good lad.
Amazing. And then Mac, 90 kilograms here. Going to put New York Bakery Co. out of business.
Good man, Mac. Got to be done.
And yeah, Mac reminding you that he did 4:22 in Amsterdam.
4:22.
So
same as me,
he's going for that sub 4 at Manchester. And Mac, it's on, mate. that's going to happen. So go for it. We had a comment from Rachel Watson who said, "Hi guys, you need to hydrate more. I've been working with a sports dietitian leading up to my marathon in 2 weeks. She told me I should be aiming for 600 ml to a litre of fluid per hour."
Hey,
I know that seems like a lot to me. I thought that's way too much, but I tried it on my long run workout, and man, she was right. It was a revelation. Good luck for your races. I'm sure you'll do amazing. That seems like a huge amount.
you're pissing like a racehorse.
Yeah, a litre per hour, man.
That's incredible
Wow,
amount.
okay.
Especially, especially for a man like you in his 40s with a bladder as weak as yours.
Oh no! Well, I need to finish the podcast soon. Anyway, I know that much. I've been drinking this all the way through and a cup of tea. Mark G says this carb loading sounds like hard work. Great guest on this episode, chaps. Yes, Will was a great guest, and I'm wondering how to approach carbs when I tackle my 50k in May now. Very similar, I would say. Yeah, just go for that 10 grams per kilogram.
But
Oh, sorry, go on.
Depending on your ultra, by the way, how you're going to run it, if you're going to be up the front running it for a competitive time, might affect how you do it. But if you run it like me, it's just a picnic. It's just a running picnic.
Exactly, yeah.
Just smash your, just stuff your face while you're running. It's fine.
The Woo has said, loved it. Thanks for the chat. Yes, it was a great chat indeed. Kieran, I've already mentioned that he said about the fact that he crashed was 100% because of electrolytes and not because of his lack of strength training. And then Inbox Amelia has said, it's a boss move getting the Woo as your special guest. It was a great episode. Good luck with your upcoming races, you guys. You got it. So thank you very much.
Amazing. We've got the best listeners and the best watchers. So just a reminder, if you do want to subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can tell our mums we're really, really popular at school, and please do that. And if we can get further towards 1,000 subscribers one day, you never know. We could end up like in a position where we can like give stuff away or stuff like that.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
You never know. So subscribe and do all that stuff. And but we appreciate everything's done for us.
Actually, you saying that, right? I've just thought of this off the top of my head. So let's have a little bit of a guess Brett's time for the marathon. So
okay.
If anybody would like to comment on this YouTube video or comment on a post that we will put on Instagram, the person closest to the time, I will send you a Obi-Wan Run Club running tee.
I'm having 3 goes. I'm having Instagram, YouTube, email. I'm having 3 goes.
So if you want to post on, comment on the post on Instagram, comment on this YouTube video, or send us an email with your predicted time for my race in Manchester on Sunday.
One time each time. You're only allowed to choose one time.
One entry each.
Yeah, that's that sounds like a bit of fun. That sounds good. So have you thought about a time? Do you even want to speculate what you think you'd do? Do you want to manifest a time, or do you want to keep that to yourself?
No, that's fair enough. That's up here.
Okay, right. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that's us then. Apart from the end of the podcast quiz, which is imminent. So, are you ready?
Yes.
There is a connection on today's 5-question quiz.
Excellent.
Here we go then. Praia do Cassino is the world's longest what? My Portuguese isn't as good as it used to be, but Praia do Cassino. Do you want to write it down pub quiz style and we'll come back to it at the end, or do you want to just say what you think it is?
Praia dos Cassino.
Casino with 2 S's.
Oh.
If you spoke Portuguese, the clue's in the title. That's all I'm going to say.
It's a road of See, I don't know.
No,
Vineyard.
that's wrong. No, that's wrong. That is wrong.
Okay.
Oh, right. See if you can get it with the other questions. You might get the connection. Okay.
Go on then.
Question 2. In which city are Albert Einstein's, told you, in which city are Albert Einstein's eyes kept?
His eyes.
Yeah, I did that. I did some research. You go down some weird rabbit holes in this podcast. On researching this, the doctor who was giving him an autopsy, he was told he couldn't do one, did one anyway, stole his brain, chopped it up into 204. It sounds like the Nutty Professor. Chopped it up into 240 pieces, and turns out didn't actually learn anything at all, and lost his job, lost 3 wives, and lost basically all the medical knowledge, accolades that he had, and didn't learn anything at all. And it turns out that he was keeping parts of Einstein's brain in like his basement. Very, very weird.
Was he like Voldemort? Putting Horcruxes all around the place, but of Albert Einstein to try and get power from them.
But the eyes have been unfortunately removed, and they are kept in a safety deposit box in which city? One of the world's biggest cities.
I have no idea. Berlin.
That's what Laura said on the. No, that's incorrect. On when I test drove the quiz. No, that's incorrect. Okay, question 3. Also, if you're wondering, Napoleon's knob's been chopped off, and that's that's in New Jersey. I told you the rabbit holes I go down. Napoleon's penis is in New Jersey. Question 3. What is the name of Victoria and David Beckham's second-born child?
Romeo? Was that
is
the second
correct.
one?
That is correct, yes. Because the first one is called
Brooklyn.
Correct, yes. Right. Question 4. What style of sunglasses were first introduced to the public in partnership with the US military in 1936?
The Aviators.
Correct. Question 5. I've just realised there could be many answers to this, but hopefully you'll get the right one. In the 1600s, there were 2 million of these in North America, but now there are just 65,000. What am I talking about? In the 1600s, there were 2 million of these things in North America, but now there's just 65,000 left. I'll give you a clue. It's a living thing, if you didn't realise. It's an animal.
Buffalo.
If that helps. No. It's got big teeth. Live in the forest and the mountains.
Bear.
No.
Big teeth, live in the forest and mountains.
Hang around in packs.
Oh, wolves.
Yes.
Ah.
Or the wolf, yes. So, any connection between those 3?
Yes. It is The Wolf of Wall Street, Aviator, Romeo and Juliet, and it's all Leo DiCaprio films.
Okay, so very good. So by process of elimination, Praia do Cassino is the world's longest what? Have you ever been?
Beach.
Yes. It's in Brazil, and it's about 100-mile long, something like that.
Yes.
And question 2, in which city are Albert Einstein's eyes kept? Can you think of any films he's been in which have a big city in the title?
I've drawn a blank. Leo DiCaprio films.
It's an early 2000s one, and his co-star won an Oscar for it. Who was? Oh, I don't want to tell you because you'll get it. I'll tell you. Daniel Day-Lewis was in it.
Oh, Gang to New York.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that you got the connection though. Very good. Yeah. I'm very impressed. And you also now know that Napoleon's knob has now been put in a safety deposit box in New Jersey. So you can tell your friends that.
I'll be taking a trip there just for that.
What brings you to town?
Well,
Right. I think that's us, mate.
Yes, dude. Thank you so much.
I said to you before, right? So you can have an early night because you got a big day tomorrow. Let's try and keep it to an hour today.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No, of course not. Of course, we wouldn't keep it to an hour.
What did you expect?
But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I will hopefully see some of you in Manchester on Sunday for the big day.
Maybe people are listening to this mid-Manchester Marathon.
Imagine. Oh,
if you are, shout
on,
something like,
"Go on, you can do it."
Barry's videos.
Barry's videos.
Napoleon's knob. Well, we wish you all the best to everyone that is running, and also Boston, Massachusetts is on Monday as well. So the best of luck to anyone that's flying out to do that one.
Yeah.
We wish you well. But yes, have fun, believe in yourself, trust the training, trust the process, go out and have fun, enjoy one of the world's best marathons, and make sure you get a selfie with Brett.
Yeah, I will see you up there, anyone who is there, and we will see you next week. Cheers, guys.